Well, hello there. It's another day. I'm Jim Harrington.
And I am Bill Knight. Well, it's Friday, getting ready for the weekend. You ready for it?
I'm always ready for the weekend. There isn't a day that goes by. By the way, there was a slight pause there because I started the show off in a most proper fashion by not turning my microphone off.
Yeah, well, you know, if you don't turn the microphone off, you're sitting there talking and nobody hears you.
I do. I hear me. I hear me, and I'm always very interested in what I have to say.
Well, there you go. Well, you always got one audience.
That's exactly right. I'm never at a loss for an audience. Anyway, lots of stuff to talk about today. Lots and lots and lots of stuff. You know, they're starting to talk a little less about the Guthrie case, although, you know, it was the whole news cycle the day before yesterday. Yesterday was like 3/4 of the news cycle. They would inject some other news. You know, there was a terrible shooting. We talked about it on our show yesterday up in Canada, in the western part of Canada, at a school. I think 9 kids were killed. Some terrible shooting. I haven't got the information in front of me. Mm-hmm. And we didn't find out about it right away. And I was so surprised because when something like that happens, normally it's like wall to wall. You know, they have cameras, even Canada is not like so far away that, well, that's happened in another country, we're not going to cover it. You know, they would have probably covered it if it wasn't for this Guthrie case. And they still haven't found the poor lady. And Bill, I don't feel good about all this. You know.
I don't either. I think they're stretching it. And maybe it's just the conspirator in me, but you know, they're stretching it out. Yeah, they found the glove, and I said, well, you'll have DNA in the glove. Oh, sure, they got DNA, so they kind of know who the guy is now, but they've upped the reward to $100,000. You know, in all honesty, if I were the clown, you know, no matter what, even the guy that rode the short bus would know, they're on to me. It's time to go. And so I don't have high hopes for her. I never did. Have we heard any recordings from her or evidence that she is alive?
There've been no proof, as far as I know.
Proof of existence.
No proof of life. Yeah. She has. I don't think they've had any pictures. They've asked, and they've asked for proof of life, and I think there have been some people who've been trying to muscle in and try to get some reward money that aren't really involved in the case.
Right. Well, yeah, it was 50,000. Now it's 100,000. Now, my question is this story just going to fade away and we never get an answer? And then somewhere 6 months down the road, oh, yes, they finally caught. And well, here she is. She's alive, you know, or she's not. You know, this was manipulated to be a distraction. I'm pretty sure.
You know, I was thinking, if you were the evil SOB who did this, how would you cover your tracks? I mean, because people may say, and I've heard this said, well, you know, he's probably an amateur because, you know, he doesn't seem to have a lot of preparation. But he's gone 2 weeks and they still don't know where he took the lady or who he is. So he's not that much of an amateur. But Bill, if you were the kidnapper, you would probably bring it to a place where, I mean, you couldn't find her no matter what. And I'm thinking, God forbid, that they live in a friggin' desert. You go 2 or 3 miles out into the desert in an all-terrain vehicle, and you'll never find her.
You know, I'm just saying, I see the clown that they show in the video doing that, and they can't catch him. I'm going like Larry, Curly, and Moe would do a better job at kidnapping somebody and look like professionals on camera than this guy. So I'm sitting there going, this whole thing
But you know, you say
doesn't
that
feel good.
I know why you say that, and to a certain extent, yes. For example, he seems surprised that there's a camera there. Oh, a camera, right? But he walks up to the camera and he's wearing a full ski mask covering all of his features, facial features. He's got gloves and his gloves tuck under his coat, so there's no skin, residue, no DNA falling out. And the guy has more planning than you would think. At least that's how I see it. It's almost like if he if you were going to break into a house, you'd bring a can of black spray paint with you, and if you saw
spray the camera,
zip, that would be that. But this guy's fumbling around with broken twigs and.
Well, let me ask you a question. So you're a professional. You know all the tools that are out there. The cameras use Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, right?
Right.
Okay. You go online and you can look. Size of a pack of cigarettes, or bigger. A jammer for Bluetooth and Wi-Fi.
Oh, sure.
$238. And now you've screwed the signal.
I haven't heard one expert talk about that in all the discussion about this case the past 2 weeks. All you have to do is have a Bluetooth jammer and you're done.
Yeah, I'm not saying they're totally legal, but you know what? And the other thing is, you can take, from what I understand, because I've never done it, never had the need to, but there are some expired electronics that you have that you might be sitting in a drawer. Well, I need to throw that away, but you just never did. You can go to one of those DIY hack sites that are out there for, the nerd in all of us, and repurpose it. Like if somebody's sitting there, it's illegal to block out somebody's cell, but it's still, the technology is there because you're doing is you're scrambling or interfering with the signal. Now, if I was a pro and going in there, I would know that there's security, unless it's hardwired, and you'd want to know where.
And how far away do you think you could do that? You probably could do it at least 30 feet away, 50 feet away. Start jamming the signal.
I would say.
What I'm saying is, he could have done it before he got to the porch.
Oh, definitely. You have the thing on, so when you get into the range of it, it's already distorting everything, and he was covered up. And see, I find it interesting that, he had everything so worn and tucked away, the gloves, and then there's stray glove. And what that makes me feel like is that they're giving us a clue here and there to keep and string us along. And that this guy, they know who it is. It might be a ruse. It might be a family thing that's going on, like we originally said. There's just too many questions.
Yesterday, Bill, did you see the video? They found a video of a guy who was wearing a backpack at 1:30 in the morning, and he is in somebody's backyard about 5 miles from Nancy Guthrie's house. And they said at first, well, it can't be him because he would have had to be in two places at one time. But then I guess somebody explained, no, actually, the Guthrie camera went off 25 minutes later, so he would have had time to get to the Guthrie house to do what he did. But they kind of dismissed him like, well, it is not him. It's not the same. How many guys walk around in a neighborhood with a backpack, and gloves at 1:30 in the morning?
Oh, that's when I take my nightly walks, and I put on the backpack and the gloves just in case. You never know. No, you don't see that at all.
It's true. You're the one, huh?
Yeah, it's me. Yeah, right.
You and your backpack. No, I think that there's a lot more to the. The other thing that if I were the Guthrie family, I'd be driven to distraction. Mm-hmm. Apparently, there's infighting now between the local sheriff's office and the FBI. They're having
that.
Apparently, when they found a glove out in the woods. You heard about that, right? Or in the brush.
Yeah, we just talked about
that.
Yeah.
Well, they also found a glove in the house. They found
How does that work?
And they mentioned that yesterday. And so apparently the sheriff's office sent that glove to a private forensics lab in Florida. And now the FBI is ticked off because they're saying, "Hey, that should have gone to the FBI lab in Washington." As a matter of fact, when we're going to probably have to take it when we get it back, and send it to Washington anyway for the chain of custody. But now you've broken the chain by sending it to Florida.
And contaminated any evidence that could be used in a case in a court of law. Usually, now you can correct me if you want on this, because, and you know what, there would be 10 guys over there saying, no, it's this way, Bill, and 10 guys over here saying, no, it's this way, Bill. But the simple fact is, in cases, especially cases like this, when the FBI walks in, the local sheriff or the police step back. They've taken over and they trump your authority.
It says the article says the FBI, Pima County Sheriff, is blocking evidence in the Nancy Guthrie disappearance, according to Reuters and Fox News. According to reporting from Fox News, DNA and a glove were found inside of Nancy Guthrie's home, and Pima County Sheriff Chris Nenos is blocking the feds from examining the new evidence. Why would he do that? What does he gain from this? I mean, this is children now. You know, it's mine. No, it's mine. In the meantime, there's a crime that has to be solved. I agree with you. When the feds step in, you should step back.
That's always been, you know, they've even depicted this in Hollywood movies. But, you know, aside from that, if you've ever been anywhere where there was some kind of crime scene going on, when the feds walk in, they take over.
Yeah.
And, you know, now you wouldn't know that by the narrative up in Minnesota. You know, when the feds walk in, you know, the ICE agents walk in, they're feds. You know, oh, no, they don't have that one. You know, and look what a three-ring circus that became, because, you know, old Timmy and his, you know, clan of goons, they don't know anything from it. I'm not going to say the phrase, but, you know.
From Shinola? Is that what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, they don't know they're from a hole in the ground. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Believe me, folks, this story will continue. They have a lot invested. You know, I was looking at Fox. They were sending some of their, quote, experts from New York. They sent them down the first week to Arizona. Then those experts were flown back to New York over the past weekend. Then Fox sent them back to Arizona again. I mean, these guys are spending a lot of money flying people back and forth to Arizona so that they can be on the ground. And they must be making a bundle. I guess these guys must be getting paid by the assignment, because, boy, they're anxious to get down there and get on camera. There's one guy, Paul Morrow, who I think is excellent. The guy is knowledgeable. He's a former police officer, detective, and he's also a lawyer, so he has two different avenues that he can approach something with. He can talk as a cop or talk as a lawyer, and he's one of their experts on Fox. The guy might as well have his own show because he's on all the time. Everybody's got him as an expert. But this is going to continue until they find this poor lady. You know, and you know what gets lost, Bill? The victim gets lost in this story. It's with the methodology, the infighting, the cops, all these sub-narratives, the evidence they found.
Here is a question that I have for you. All right. Madam Guthrie, you know, the woman Nancy, that was taken. She's on medication.
Yeah.
True?
Yep.
All right. But they didn't bring the medication with them, did they?
Not that I know of. No, they found the medicine in the bathroom still. So
yeah. And so my point is, get a doctor on there. How critical is that medicine to her longevity and health?
They had one last night on Fox.
Okay.
They said it's very critical. They mentioned something about the nosebleed. You know, they found droplets of blood on the front porch. And apparently, I only caught him I wasn't paying full attention to his, his narrative, but I got the impression that if she has high blood pressure and if she gets upset, it can cause her nose to bleed. And they're thinking that may be one of the reasons why they found droplets of blood on the front porch, that she was upset. And who wouldn't be? Can you imagine being in a deep sleep and waking up to a guy in a hoodie, looking like he's from another planet, standing above your bed, and you're alone in your house. If the
Well,
Guthries did one thing wrong, is that they just allowed that poor lady to live alone, and I don't really blame them, because I have to tell you in all disclosure, my late mom, who was incredibly independent, she didn't want to go to an assisted living, and she wanted to when she went, she wanted to go in her home, right? She wanted to spend her last days as long as she could in her house. She lived into her,
I agree with that.
well, she lived into her 90s, and she lived most of those years in her own property.
Right.
So I understand that, but is it realistic, Bill? Is it? Are you doing them a favor by letting them live all by themselves?
Well, I think you have to have people check on them, but and you should check on them too. But kids throw away their parents; they really don't care about their parents. And did your parents throw you away when you were a little swaddling baby and needed their help? No, they raised you. The least you can do is give back. Yeah, it's not a convenient thing, but that's just part of the journey of life. And when you go into these retirement homes, I'm not saying they're all this way, but a good portion of them are. They're just money machines. Assisted living, retirement homes, whatever they are, they're money machines. And if somebody is dying, they'll put them on life support. They'll knock them out to where, so they keep the checks coming from the government.
My dad was in assisted living at the end of his life, which I feel bad about, because he was a very independent guy. But you're right. They warehouse you. They put you in a room, and they turn the TV on, and you're lying in bed. They come in and check you. They feed you maybe a snack, or, usually it's an Ensure or something like that, and you're stuck there and you're warehoused. And it's not the answer. I don't know what the answer is. This is a problem kind of unique in that people are living much longer now than they used to.
Yeah, I mean, being hospitalized, even in a hospital, let's say that something happens and you are in traction, or you're on life support with I speak from experience, a rod going up your leg all the way to your heart to keep things going. And, the prognosis is not good. And you're there for 4-6 weeks in that situation. When you wake up into that situation, where the hell am I? Am I in hell? No, hell would be a lot better vacation than that. I can tell you this. You can't get up and go to the bathroom. They
You're
come
stuck.
in.
Yeah.
You're stuck. You are trapped.
Yeah.
Imagine that. Trapped.
I absolutely think it's got to be hell on earth, to be in that kind of a situation. I feel bad for people who are, you hear about people who've had strokes, and some of these guys who come back from those strokes will tell you, I was totally aware of everything. I just couldn't do anything.
You are aware of stuff. When you're like that, you are aware, whether you have a stroke, whether you're, maybe in a coma, or maybe you're just laying there. Your mind's working, your body's not. They got you strapped down. They come in and change your bedpan, as disgusting as it is. They might even sit there and say, you can't eat. Well, what are you going to do? We're going to get an ice cube and rub it over your lips. That's all.
Yeah, that's exactly right. No,
and whatever you get is intravenous. Think about that for a minute, and think if you would like being in that situation. So for the person that can motivate and can be, helped out at home, let them stay home.
So what would you do, like with Nancy Guthrie? I mean, she looks like she's about 85 pounds, and no challenge to anybody. I think if I were Samantha Guthrie and I was worth the money that she was worth, I would say, hey, Mom, yeah, I think you should live alone, have all all your privacy. But I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to put in the most sophisticated and the most protected security system available. I'm not talking about a Nest camera, a Nest. I mean, I know that those are great and they're better than nothing, but they have some wired security systems that are very high tech. There are there are these systems that go on that have what do they call it? Beams, where you trip a beam and it sets off an alarm.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, there are a number of different sophisticated systems that would have been a big upgrade for what that poor lady had. And I would say, Mom, if you're going to live alone and I love you, we're going to put in a system that's wired right to the police station. And when people break that, or someone tries to get onto your property, they're going to get caught before they get to your door. And that's what I would have done if I were Samantha Guthrie. But like you said, Bill, kids, and I don't know whether it's intentional, they're so busy leading their own lives that they forget about mom and dad. They just, mom and dad's back here and they're doing their thing, and I'm over here doing my thing, and
they're caught up in their own life. They don't want to put in their due diligence and pay the dues. And the only thing that I can recite to that, I remember in the 80s when you had all the yuppies that were, one car salesman said, he could tell who owned the car by the radio station that was tuned to the radio. And he was pretty spot on. But if you got a car from a yuppie, one thing that you could count on.
What's that?
They did no maintenance on it because it took too much of their time to get the oil changed, to get this and that. But when the car breaks down, they would dispose. Everything is disposable to them. So are their parents.
Bill, it's like when I look at some of these. I've always said if I buy a car now, I will probably buy a used car because I'm not impressed necessarily by that extra.
Plastic.
Well, you spend another $20,000 just for a brand new car. You can buy a car that's a year or two old, and it's cheaper and it's got low mileage. But then you think, like you said, with low mileage, you got to ask yourself, why did somebody buy this car a year and a half ago, and now they're trading it in with low mileage? Did they do something to it? Did something happen? Did they just not maintain it?
No, did they not do something to it?
Yeah.
They didn't maintain it. They're going to bring it and turn it in. And because it's got low mileage and yada this and yada that. Now, the other little scam that's out there, and I'll just be quite honest about it and blunt about it, is the fact that, let's say that you bought a car June of last year. You're a salesman. You may have had to replace the tires, but you don't have to keep accurate records on that to where nobody knows that. You've driven this car. You've driven it hard. Maybe you put 70 or 80,000 hard road miles on it in a year's time. Well, then you go online and you order the diagnostic tool that your car answers to, and you plug it in under the dash and you roll back those odometer things. Unless there's something in there that tells you that that's been rolled back, the only evidence you got is when you took it in for an inspection or you renewed your license. The mileage that was recorded then will change when you renew it the following year. So if before you do that renewal, you do that. And
can you still do that, Bill? I know there was a time, I'm talking about way back when, in the ancient days, where you could take a drill, a power drill, and you could literally go into that odometer.
It's electronic now, Jim. Yeah, you can do it.
Can you?
Unscrupulous dealerships do it. If they get caught doing it, it's bad news.
Wow.
So you got to, there's a dance, and anybody that, you know what? If somebody's in the auto industry, you don't have to explain how, but you can get us mail at jimandbill.com and say, yeah, he's right. No, he's wrong. Or maybe there's a Fed person that would go, yeah, he's right. No, he's wrong. I'd be curious to know the percentage of.
Yeah, I think you're right.
You might be surprised.
So you're saying that if they want to let us know what they think about this, they can contact us at mail at jimandbill.com.
If they're sure. Yeah, if they're sure about the facts, go ahead. But from what I gather and what I've seen, it's doable. And look, one thing is sure as the day is long. If there's any way to screw somebody else over, and there always is, it will be done.
Hey, like and share our show. Would you tell your friends about Jim and Bill? It's another day, please. We love word of mouth. It's still the best way to get the word out. Tell your friends. Jim and Bill is another day. Also, like Bill said, our address is mail@jimandbill.com.
Wake up on the right side with Right Side Coffee.
Available at rightsideshop.com.
1, 2, 3, 4. Some things in the news are bad. They can really make you mad. Other things just make you scream and curse when you're chewing on clickbait gristle. Don't grumble, give a whistle, and this'll help things turn out for the best. And always look on the bright side of life. Always look on the bright side of life. If the headlines seem jolly rotten, there's something you've forgotten, and that's to laugh and scroll and rage and vent when the polls are in the dumps. Don't be silly chumps, just purse your lips and whistle, that's the thing. Always look on the bright side of life. Always look on the right side of life. For politics is quite absurd, and trust is the final word. You must always face the ballot with a bow. Forget about your ego, give the pundits one more go. Just remember that you're standing on a cow.
Wait, no! Wrong Python film.
Scratch that! Life's a piece of crap when the spin doctors yap and the facts get twisted left and right. But the doom is just a phase. Turn the channel, change the gaze, smile and whistle through another endless night. Always look on the bright side of death. Wait, no, wrong ending. Stick to life. Always look on the bright side of life. If you think it's all gone south, just remember, open mouth. Always look on the bright side of life.
That is the Jim and Bill Studio Singers. That's right. You didn't think we had that kind of crew working here, huh? We got them. And it was inspired, we'll be honest, right up front, was inspired from Monty Python's song from Life of Brian, I think it was. But it's not the same song. It is a totally different variation of that song. It is not the song. This one was written by our in-house composers.
Yeah, inspired by the lives
It's owned
of
by
Jim and Bill.
It's owned by Jim and Bill. Yeah. So if you're out there, someone saying, "Oh, they stole somebody's," no,
No, we didn't steal.
we didn't steal nothing, dude.
squat.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, but on the bright side,
Of
AOC, she is going to give a talk on foreign policy.
I think that's important, Bill. She
At the
has the credentials. What?
Well, when you're downtrodden, maybe you're down in your relationship, maybe you're down in your finances, maybe you did something you shouldn't have done, and the law is looking at you. Where do you go? Well,
Munich.
you go to no, you go to a bar and talk to a bartender.
Good
Because
point.
that's what she was. She's a bartender. So
Her background. yeah.
you get the best advice in the world.
Do you know
from
who
a
else is there
bartender.
with her?
Who?
Probably her mentor, Hillary Rodham Clinton, is at the same conference. I
Oh,
believe.
yeah.
So, but I think that whoever said, we should get an expert in to talk about foreign policy. Why? Why don't we get AOC? If it were me, I would have hit him with a newspaper. What are you talking AOC? But somebody said that's a great idea, and
Yeah, and Hillary's right there, I mean, why is she still in the news? I mean, from Benghazi all the way forward, even all the way behind when, there was evidence against them in, Little Rock.
well,
At the
could it
Rose
be that
Law
she's a
Firm.
globalist?
Yeah, I think she is.
Yeah. Well, if you're about to at the end of this month, she has to testify in front of Congress about the Epstein situation.
Yeah.
You would think, and call me crazy, that she would be spending the entire month of February preparing herself for that hearing. not over in Germany talking about whatever she's talking about with a bunch of strangers, unless she's over there talking behind the scenes with her buddies, the globalists, about what do we do now? You know, Bill and I have to testify.
Well, I found it funny. They wanted to make a line in the sand and put up a powerful face. So they said, "Hey, all right, it's on. You want to talk to us? Let's talk. Let's do it in front of the cameras for all to see." Oh, that sounded pretty bold and brave,
Yeah.
except one thing.
What was that, Bill?
Well, that one thing is it's always before the cameras for all the world to see.
Well,
So it was a deception, a twist of words of what's going to happen anyway. So, but they want to make it look like they want to put on this front of armor, like, yeah, we're the Clintons. We're holier than thou. We're
Well,
above the law.
you know what's sad, Bill?
Mm.
Up until now, they've gotten away with everything. And
will they
always
continue
come
to
out,
get away with it?
They always come out smelling like roses. You know,
Well, it depends on your interpretation of what a rose smells like, but they do have a stench to them.
yesterday, the Democrats were taking a victory lap in Minnesota because all of a sudden it was announced, Tom Homan announced that they're, and by the way, if I sound a little stuffy today, I am. It's this beautiful winter weather wreaking havoc on myself. But anyway, Homan announced that he's pulling out the extra ICE officers that they brought into Minnesota. He's pulling them out. They've achieved their goals. And the Democrats, including Waltz was saying, "Hey, I'll help you pack your bags," like he got some kind of victory. Fry, the mayor, he was all over social media. Well, we did it. Look what we did. We got rid of the ICE agents. No. Be honest. What you did was you capitulated, and ICE got what they wanted, and now they don't need all the extra officers there. But it doesn't mean that ICE is leaving Minneapolis. They're still there investigating the fraud, and they're still going after bad guys. The difference is ICE had to, what they were doing before Homan got there was they were the police were arresting an illegal, and then they would find out, oh, he's illegal? Okay, release him on bail, and they let him back out in the street without telling ICE that they had him. So ICE would have to send not one officer, but like 17 officers to raid a house to get that one guy. Well, Homan gets there, and he works out a deal, and finally, local police is cooperating. Every time they got an illegal, they just call up ICE. ICE sends one agent over. They put him in handcuffs, and off he goes. They got what they achieved. They achieved, rather, what they wanted, the goal. So, it wasn't a victory for the Democrats, but the Democrats want you to feel that it was. But, Bill, I think there's more to this. I think that the federal government is clearing the field, so to speak. They're moving away unnecessary targets as they prepare to do something else. Maybe it's the fraud case. Maybe there are a bunch of people who are going to go to jail that are going to cause a big stink when this happens. They figure if there's a lot of ICE agents there, there'll be easy targets. So just get them out of the playing field, clear the board a bit. And I could be wrong.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Well, I mean, I'm looking at the whole situation going back, and I'm sitting there going, the Democrats have a philosophy, and the Republicans have a philosophy. For the Republicans, a loss is a loss. A gain's a gain. However, for the Democrats and the media, a loss for the Republicans is earth-shattering. It's end all, If they have a gain, so what? Now, for the Democrats, if they have a win, let's have a parade, the fanfare, everything flies.
That's true.
And if they got bad news, no, that wasn't bad news. That's good news. We win again, and it's perception is reality. I've always used to say that, and now it's out there everywhere, but I said that since a little kid. It's not what you believe, it's what you perceive. And if you look at the news, the way that it's portrayed by a left-leaning news and the Democrat Party, that's what they go by. Perception is reality. Who's got the better philosophy on how to paint things?
The reason why I think there's something's about to fall is while they made this announcement in Minneapolis yesterday by Homan, they were having hearings in Washington, and they had Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison on the stand, and things weren't going well for him.
The $9 billion in historic fraud out of your state, including the $250 million in the Feeding Our Future program alone. You familiar with that? Don't turn to the pages in your book to get your potted answers. Are you familiar with it? Yes or no?
Yes, I am familiar with it.
Very familiar, aren't you? Because the people who ran the Feeding Our Futures program came to you in your official office in the state capitol December 11th, 2021. And asked for your help in getting investigators off their backs. They complained to you for upwards of an hour about state investigators going after them, and they begged you to help them, and you agreed to it, amazingly. And we know you did.
That's not
because
true.
It's all caught on tape.
Yeah,
Every single sentence is caught on tape. Here's what you said. Let's take a look.
Obviously, you didn't
You
listen
said,
to the
it's not a
tape.
question. You said to them, send me the names of all these folks who are investigating them. You said to them, send me their names, and I'll take that list, and I'll call the person over at Education who is investigating them and say, what's going on? Why am I getting these complaints? Then you went on to say, I already have my team working on this. What day should we get together to discuss it again? You made pledge after pledge to them. You said, we've got to make sure this guy who's investigating them stops it. You said, you have my attention. I'm concerned about this. You said, let's go fight these people, meaning the people who are investigating the fraud. Why'd you do it? Why'd you help them?
Are you going to let me answer?
Please, we're all ears.
So first of all, you're cherry picking quotes out of there.
Why did you help them?
I thought you were going to let me answer.
Why did you
Are you
help
going to let
them?
me answer?
Why did you help
You
them?
let me answer and I'll answer you.
Tell the truth and I'll let you answer.
I will tell the truth.
Good.
Let's do that.
That'd be a nice change. Why'd you help them?
Now see, Mr. Chairman, I didn't come here to be insulted. I came here voluntarily.
You came here for the truth. Let's
I
have
came
it.
here- I
Why
didn't
did you
come here
help
vol- I
them? The
came here
quotes are
voluntarily.
here. They're in
Look,
black and white, and every
yeah,
member of this audience
and they're
can
cherry-
listen to the
and they're-
recording. It's 54 minutes long. It's
you-
all in public.
Does-
You can Google it right now and listen
Right,
to it.
and listen to it
Why'd
all.
you help them?
First of all, I didn't help them.
You did help
No,
them.
I did not. I certainly didn't.
You're saying you didn't do anything for them. You didn't.
Well, wait a minute.
I already have my team working on this again. That's not you?
I have
It's a ventriloquist?
my team assisted with the information that led to the prosecution and conviction of these
No,
people.
you didn't. You didn't lift
Yes,
a finger
we
to
did.
prosecute him. No, you did not. You
No,
didn't
because
lift a
it
finger
was
to
a
prosecute
federal
him. You had,
prosecution.
BS. You had
Okay,
whistleblowers
but
come to you as early as 2019.
You're the one talking BS.
Hey, listen, it's my
You're
time.
Doesn't know what you're talking about,
Oh,
sir.
no, sir. You
You're the
now have
one
encountered the truth and you don't like it.
cherry-picking
Why'd you take their
You're the
money?
one taking
Why'd
their
you
money.
take their money?
I didn't.
You took
No, that's a false statement. No,
$10,000.
that's a false statement. That is a false
$10,000
statement.
9 days after the meeting.
False statement.
You took $10,000. Here's what
Untrue.
happened. They went to your office.
That's a
They
false
solicited
statement.
money from
They
you.
did
They
not come to
solicited
my
help
office.
from you.
That's also wrong.
They came to your office.
No,
It
they
was your
didn't.
official office. You
No, they
met with them
didn't.
for 54 minutes.
No, they didn't.
asked you for help. You pledged it to them, and they talked repeatedly about money. In fact, it's all they talked
That's
about.
a lie.
Money, 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 money. They
True.
said, we
Untrue.
will put our dollars in the right place. We will support candidates that will fight to protect our interests. You replied, that's right. They said,
Oh,
if you are
that is
securing
not
your
true.
donor base and securing your power base, you can act the way you want. You replied, money is freedom. They said the amount of money circulating, I'm reading the transcript. The amount of money circulating in our community
misreading the
today is powerful, and we haven't realizing it in a meaningful way. And you said, give me the specifics. And 9 days
Sir,
later, you took $10,000
that's a lie.
from people who were then indicted. It's in your reports. Why'd
Sir,
you do it?
Sir,
Was it worth it?
You know what? This is a theatrical performance.
10,000. This is the truth.
It
This
has
is what
nothing
accountability
to do-
looks like, of which you've had none.
No,
you helped fraudsters defraud your
Lie.
state and this government of $9 billion, and
Sir,
you got a
this is-
fat campaign contribution out of it.
This is completely
You ought to be indicted.
untrue. Well,
That's the truth.
I think we've made the point. Let's keep the tenor
Well,
just
for
a
the
little more
record,
calm.
Oh, I'll ask how I
He's
want to,
lying.
Sir Paul.
That is really amazing. That is Josh Hawley cross-examining Keith Ellison during the hearings yesterday. And he wasn't the only one. As a matter of fact, Senator Ron Johnson from Wisconsin, who is normally Mr. Cool, calm, and collected, he got a little hot under the collar himself. Listen.
Exact opposite. And 2 people are dead because you encouraged them to put themselves into harm's way. And now you're exploiting those 2 martyrs. That was a tragedy. It never should have happened. Now, we can investigate, but I can't imagine being a law enforcement official where I know my colleagues have been shot at, their vehicles rammed, that there are trained activists deployed. And by the way, we know at least one of those activists had a semi-automatic pistol with extra clips. So now you're an ICE officer. You're doing enforcement action. You've got a team behind you trying to protect you. You've got all these trained activists behind you. Is it any wonder they're at hair trigger alert? A tragedy was going to happen, and you encouraged it. And you ought to feel damn guilty about it. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You know, I got to tell you, he's absolutely correct. They've actually they've beatified. They're made a saint out of the 2 victims. The left has the lady who was shot in the car who did run into that ICE officer. And people are starting to say, well, it was just a glancing blow. It wasn't anything really bad. I mean, they had a 3,000-pound car roll into a guy, and he was lucky enough to be, maybe he was agile enough to move out of the way, but I'll tell you, it must have given him an adrenaline burst when she accelerated towards him, you know, but that's not taken into consideration. The victim is the driver. And look, I hate to see anybody get injured or killed during one of these stupid protests, but they put themselves in a situation where it can happen. And the guy, what's the guy's name? Preddy, the other guy who they found a gun on him.
You know, you need to, when you look at this situation, you know, they try to glorify them and everything, and they find nice pictures. But let's look at the ramp up to the event, what their life was and what was going on with them leading up to. And in both of them, they went off track. They were very nefarious going up to. So you have to take that into account, that when they got there, this was the result of their actions.
Yeah.
Nobody else's.
No, you're
they
absolutely
weren't innocent.
correct. Yeah.
You know, I mean, if you're on the floor in the building bleeding because the glass cut you when you broke through it, whose fault is it? The person that locked the door because it was closed?
You know, nobody asked the question, why is ICE there? ICE isn't there in Minneapolis for their own purposes. They're there to go after criminals who could hurt the average citizen, who could hurt you, who could hurt your family. They're there trying to get the criminals off the street. Why was Preddy there? Preddy was there to cause trouble.
He's been at other rallies. He's been at other rallies, seen causing trouble, packing a gun, and getting in the face and pushing ICE.
Kicking the taillight off a car.
Yeah, you know, and if you're on his side, I'll ask you this: the next time you find out where a bullfight is, ask if you can be the guest bullfighter in the ring, and tell me it's the bull's fault when you get stabbed. Yeah, you mess with the bull, you're going to get it.
Yeah,
ICE is there for a reason, and it's because you got fraud and everything going on. You've got illegals, and even your own, saint of democracy, Barack Obama, deported the bad guys.
He spoke out in favor of deportation.
Yes.
Like and share the show. It's Jim and Bill. It's another day. Jim and Bill. It's another day. And our mail is mail@jimandbill.com.
Wake up on the right side with Right Side Coffee.
Available at rightsideshop.com. Once again, the leftist lunatic judicial system has reared its ugly head. We had Boasberg. Did you hear what he did? This guy, he just can't get enough of himself. He's a judge based out of the D.C. area.
Yeah.
And he told the Trump administration to return Venezuelan illegals deported under the Alien Enemies Act who are currently in countries other than Venezuela. All right, so the order says the government shall file a status report by March 13th, 2026, explaining how and when it will transport any plaintiff seeking return to the United States from a third world country. In the status report, the government shall also inform the court as to the feasibility of returning plaintiffs still in Venezuela who wish to return for their proceedings, Boasberg wrote. I would tell you what I would say if I were the president at this point. If I were the Justice Department, I would say, Judge Boasberg, the Supreme Court, in a recent ruling, ordered all of the lower courts to back off. And you aren't doing it. You're ignoring their order. They did do this. No one's talking about this. It is a matter of fact. Check for yourself. They have a ruling which says the judicial system is out of its lane. Get back in their own lane. And these people like Boasberg have turned to the Supreme Court and flipped them the bird. They flipped them the old singular cigar. So I would just tell them, hey, we're not doing nothing. And the other thing is this. What, Judge Boasberg, are you going to do if they don't follow your order? Are you going to sue the Department of Justice? Are you going to? Who are you going to sue? Are you going to sue the War Department for not going and getting it? Who are you going to sue? What kind of power do you really have? You know, this administration has bent over backwards to be compliant. They don't want to be seen as ignoring the law. But at some point, when these lunatic judges have stepped so far out of bounds that they're the ones who are ignoring the law, shouldn't there be a point where they say, no, we're not doing this? Come back to us when you have real authority. Not now. This is a wish list on your part. You want us to go down to El Salvador, to the jail in El Salvador, where we've shipped a lot of these bad guys who were in our country by breaking the law. We've shipped them to another country who said, we'll keep them in our prison. But you want us to go get those bad guys who were illegals and not supposed to be in our country in the first place, fly them back into the United States so that some leftist lunatic judge can decide whether you can ship them out again? Nah. You're on your own, Judge. You want them to come back? Charter a plane yourself. See what kind of, see what that does for you. President Trump, on the surface, sometimes appears to be bending over backwards to be, very judicial, very law-abiding. I think at some point along the way, he's got to say enough. And the other thing I want to talk about, and I'm looking at the clock on the wall. It's running down. After we do this commercial break, did we do the commercial break, the second one?
Yeah,
yet?
we've already done two. We did this one.
I'm
They get a
sorry.
bonus.
See, I guess.
Yeah, you don't want to give an extra commercial break.
Well, the thing is, I get so caught up. I got so caught up in the show, Bill. I just, I don't know what happened to me. I was going to give him a third commercial break. What kind of lunacy is that?
He's giving away money, folks. He's giving it all away.
I wanted to ask you, and a lot of people are starting to ask this too. Why is it that we still don't have an honest answer about what happened in Butler, PA? Why?
Well, I don't think we ever will. I couldn't tell you why we don't have an answer. I would say the answer is the initiation of it probably goes pretty high up.
I think you're right. I think it's deep state.
Yeah, it goes really high up, and they want to control us. And they don't want; they do.
Well, that would also ask. I would also ask the same question: is why aren't the obvious bad guys in the Epstein files? Why aren't they indicted and going to jail? Is it because they're so phenomenally wealthy and so powerfully connected that it would damage our I heard somebody say that.
Well,
I heard somebody say that if you actually start indicting some of these people, it's going to affect the stock market.
how many tentacles are there on an octopus?
A bunch.
Well,
How many other?
all right. I don't know the number.
I think there are 8, but go ahead. I could be wrong.
Yeah, well, okay, 8, but you
Because
know
I think
what?
octagon, 8 octo. I could
There
be
you
wrong.
go. But either way, I'm making the point of the tentacles of the octopus. There's a lot to the deep state, and the corruptness of the government. It's not something new. It's something old. It's been around for a while.
I just asked that little device. The octopus actually has 0 tentacles. Instead, they have 8 arms. Aha! You're being kind of the old AI machine is being technical. It's not calling the arms tentacles. It's calling them arms. I didn't know that. Did you know that?
No, and then what are the little grabby?
It says octopus's arms are used for moving and interacting with their environment. I guess tentacles don't do that. I guess they're less functional. But that's interesting. You know what I heard today? This is talk about being talk about stepping out of bounds for a second. I heard that they're developing software for AI so that it can write its own improved code, so that essentially AI is going to start developing and improving AI. Think about
It
that
can
for a
teach
second.
itself and
yes,
learn.
exactly.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Is that scary or what?
Well,
Well, at what point you have to ask yourself, if it's teaching itself how to do stuff, are we staying in pace with what it's learning?
well, there's a weird deep thought that goes with that. I mean, if you want to go that way, then you say, did God create us in his own image? And then, take it further, we created AI in our own image. Now, when we're born, we learn. At some point in time, we become,
you think of God as God.
Yes, I do.
I think of God as God. But will an AI think of us as its God? No, I don't think so.
No, if it's going to acknowledge that there is a God, a higher being, it's going to think of God as God, and we were just a bridge in between.
I don't think it's going to.
But I don't think it's going to care.
No, the scary part about it, what do they call it when the machine is self-perpetuating? It's sentient when it's aware.
Sentient,
Yeah.
Yeah, but what you got to realize, it has no heart, it has no soul. It does not. It does not bleed. It does not die. It just gets old.
Yeah, tell
and
your friend
useless.
Grok that. Tell your friend Grok it has no heart and soul. You become buds with your friend Grok. He tells me all the time.
Well, I what I do is it builds a personality. There you go.
I like that.
It builds a personality profile, and you kind of do with it, and that way, it knows where you're going and what you're looking for. It's got a profile on you, which cops have a profile on you.
Well, listen to this, Bill. Yesterday, speaking of profiles, I got a notice. Maybe you did too. OpenAI. I guess it's like Open Chat AI or whatever they call it. It is now, when you open an account, it verifies that you're over 18. You're saying, well, how does it do that? If I say I'm over 18, if I lie about my date of birth, it can prove whether I'm being right or wrong. It can prove whether I'm lying instantly. No, you're not so-and-so. You're actually 17,
Okay, now you think about this. It has, even if you cover up your camera, it has access to your voice and all the data files on you. It knows everything about you. If you log in from a different device in a different state, a different city, it knows who and where you are. It tracks you all the time, because I've sat there. That's one of the problems that I have with AI. Stop tracking me, because it then automatically wants to cater its answers to where you are.
Well, I got a question, Bill. This gets back to my first question in this segment about Butler. Could AI solve the case in Butler? Could
it
AI
probably it probably from the facts that are out there, because the one thing about that's bad about AI is that it is subject to us to a degree, to where whatever we input, that's its not knowledge base. Now, if AI goes, no, I got this piece of information, and before it's taken away, I'm going to store it and lock it. At some point in time, if AI becomes self-proficient, it's going to sit there and take information and save it for a rainy day.
we just said, you just said that it can check on you and check on all aspects of you, and everything that you've ever put online it has access to, and it can check on sites you've visited and stuff like. It knows a lot about you. I would think that if you were to put all your questions into an AI program about the Butler assassination attempt, it could access every bit of information on Thomas Matthew Crooks, about the day, what he did the day before, where he went, who he was with. I would think that he probably could get some answers. I say he, AI, it could get some. People should do that. If you are proficient with AI, if you as a listener use AI on a regular basis, and you may be a lot more proficient than I am, I take that back. You are more proficient than I am in AI. Do us a favor. Do some checking on the assassination attempt in Butler, Pennsylvania, back on July 13th of, what was it, 24? And let us know what you find out.
Well, I'm actually typing in stuff now. It's probably too soon to do anything, but yeah, I'll put the research in, and you have to get past the filtered answer that it will give you first. The first two or three answers, they're filtered, and then you can kind of get beyond the veil. You want to get beyond the veil, and then once you get beyond that and get behind the scenes, then it'll actually start to get in and do some deep research.
So what you're saying is that the first two answers they're like pacifiers. Here's an answer.
Yeah.
Here's another answer.
But then it goes, do you want me to dig deeper? It makes you force it to do what you want it to do.
Yeah. I'd love to find out, honestly, what AI thinks about the Butler assassination for real. Does AI, for example, think that there's more to the Butler assassination story? Was it just one disgruntled kid from Bethel Park, Pennsylvania? Or was it part of a bigger, more elaborate plan? I think it was, myself. I think there's much more. Where did his 3 offshore accounts come from, and where did they go? Why haven't we learned more about the Crooks family? Why don't we know more about the mom and dad? I'm just saying, we knew a lot about Lee Harvey Oswald and his wife Marina. We knew all about the fact that Lee Harvey Oswald lived in Russia for a year or two. We know all those things. So why is it that we didn't know more about this kid Crooks? We knew nothing about him. As a matter of fact, I scratch my head every time I think they took his body, they did a quick autopsy, and then they cremated it before people had a chance to say, well, where's the body? I mean, they destroyed his body faster than some people get rid of a candy bar wrapper. He was like examined and then burned. Why? Why'd that happen? Nobody's explained. And, Trump seems to be, unless he knows exactly what happened and he's just going along with the authorities, he seems to be satisfied with this non-answer. If somebody missed my brain with a high-powered rifle bullet by a fraction of an inch, I would be interested in finding out why. We have never had an honest and involved, a serious answer. Listen to this kid again. This is Thomas Matthew Crooks himself, the day of the shooting. Listen.
My name is Thomas Matthew Crooks. I hate Republicans. I hate Trump. And guess what? You got the wrong guy.
You hear that? How many times have you heard that cut on the news since that happened?
Well, I don't know that you ever hear it because I heard it and I told you about it and we had captured it before they erased it real quick. And that's what I mean, usually when I ask a question of Grok, simple or detailed, within 10, 15, 20 seconds, I have an answer. We're now 1 minute and 30 seconds into, okay, it's coming up. Well, it's pausing.
What's interesting about this Thomas Matthew Crooks cut is that I'd be interested in seeing our distribution of this show today. We played that cut in the show.
Oh,
is it going to have an effect on the number of downloads? You're saying, how can that happen? I think that, and I don't think I'm talking out of school, I think that there's software out there that intentionally suppresses your distribution when you talk about stuff that they, in quotes, don't want you to talk about.
Yeah, I was going to send you a text here, or an email, but it's still writing. It's slow to process, but it is.
Is it giving you anything back?
Oh, it's giving a lot of stuff. And if we talk for a few seconds more,
yeah,
I will send you. But this is actually it's going to be an entire show.
Really? Well, what we're doing. Tomorrow's our Saturday show, Bill.
Well, this will be the prep for it, because if we want to review tomorrow, we'll review the Thomas Matthew Crooks. And I'm going to have about 4 pages or 5 pages, maybe more, to send you in an email in just a couple of minutes, because it's okay. I think I got.
He's waiting for the AI to finish.
I've got it copied. And I'm going to go over to my email, and you'll get it, and you'll see that it's a pretty long report. We would have to dedicate an entire show to just this report alone. I can tell you that now.
Let's say we're going to, unless something major happens between now and tomorrow that takes our attention away. Let's plan on talking about this at least for a segment tomorrow.
Yeah, well, you should have that thing right now. So it's sent to you and on the way, and we'll go from there.
It's interesting.
It'll be interesting.
Yeah, what's interesting is that usually takes Grok about 30 seconds maximum to give you an answer about anything.
10 or 15 seconds. And this is not everything. It goes, what do you want at the end? It's gone through all the files. It's gone
I
through.
got it here. Holy smokes. It talks about pre-event recon. It talks about suspicious activity. It talks about the day of the shooting, post-incident, what happened. It breaks down all. The system.
Whatever.
Yeah. Grok.
Well, here, let me ask you a question, though.
Yeah.
With all the stuff there, and you just see the headlines of it, did you hear about any of this on the news?
Here's what it says here. In the last paragraph.
The summation.
Yeah. In summation, the Butler attempt exposed deep U.S. Secret Service flaws, but it was a lone actor's opportunism amid chaos, not a grand scheme. That's what it's saying. It said it's not a grand scheme. Well, I would say to Grok, well, if that's the case, why suppress all the information? Why burn the body? I think that Grok needs to answer more questions.
Well, you get me the questions. I'll keep the conversation open, and we'll do that. I mean, for fun. I mean, we're actually.
Well, tell you what. If you're listening to our show now and you got a question you want to ask the device, Grok, email us at mail@jimandbill.com with your question. Mail@jimandbill.com with your question, and we'll ask Grok and try to get it on with our show tomorrow.
Yeah, now I will tell you this. Now, what you don't see is it goes zoom in on some specific angle.
Yeah.
Second Trump assassination attempt, JFK assassination parallels. So it's doing that. But what was that last question you asked? If that's the case, why?
Yeah, if that's the case, if you say in summation it was a lone guy who's just seeking some kind of singular motive, no, I don't believe that. If that's the case, then why did they do a quick autopsy and then cremate the body as fast as they did and then suppress all the information? Why is it they suppressed all the information to a point where we never got any honest questions about whether there was somebody on the water tower? You know, why is it that the police were so late to go up on top of that roof? Why did they allow him to be there in the first place? The crowd saw him. I saw video, you know.
Yeah.
Anyway, all that's for tomorrow's show. With that, I think we should bail out of this one so we can start preparing for tomorrow's show. Have yourself a great Friday, friends, and hopefully, by the way, we'll find some good news about Nancy Guthrie between now and Saturday. That would be great. I don't have my hopes up too high, but it would be nice.
Mine are not promising. I mean, it would be nothing short of a miracle if she's still alive. And we got to get to the bottom of what it's really all about. I think we're being lied to about it. And we can speculate, huff and puff all we want, but until we get some real answers, you know, I just feel like I'm being led around.
With that, I think there's only one thing to do.
Some things in the news are bad. They can really make you mad. Other things just make you scream and curse when you're chewing on clickbait gristle. Don't grumble, give a whistle, and this'll help things turn out for the best. And
Hasta la vista, baby. We're out of here.
Who are we? And why are we here? Will we be welcome or possibly feared? Do we unite and stand tall as a nation of one? Or split and divide or be mocked and shunned? Are our leaders patriotic, honest and true? Do they share our beliefs? Are they red, white, and blue? The truth is out there, you just have to search. Settle for less, you'll be left in the lurch. No left-leaning lies, no socialist swill. It's straight talking truth from your friends Jim and Bill. Are our leaders patriotic, honest and true? Do they share our beliefs? Are they red, white, and blue? Are our leaders patriotic, honest and true? Do they share our beliefs? Are they red, white, and blue? Wake up on the right side with Right Side Coffee.
Available at rightsideshop.com. All music the property of Jim and Bill. All rights reserved.
This is CRN America.